There's two tools that when I implemented them into my detailing business, specifically for interior detailing, that really were a game changer for me. And the first one that I ventured into that I've talked a lot about on the podcast is steam. So I like the VX 5000 steamer. I've had it for about 10 years, 11 years, and it's never once broke on me. It's never once petered out. It's never once done anything weird. I will say after 10 years of misuse on my end, or being rough with it, as I tend to be rough with the tool, especially for most of that time being mobile. And so it's in the truck, out the truck, in the truck, out the truck, and all that. It's taken a beating, but it's still held up. I will say there is a much, I think the VX 5000 is around $1,000 right now, $1,100. There is the McCullough steamer, which is a much more affordable steamer. I think it's about $150. And then I think there's all different ones in between. But to be honest, I'm not that well versed in them because the VX 5000 has just been so good to me, right? I've never needed to go out and find another steamer. I will say, though, that I did and have tried and worked with people that have the McCullough steamer. And once you have the VX 5000, you're not going to be able to use the McCullough. But if you have nothing, the McCullough is something. And so steam, and I think the older I get and the longer I've been doing this, the more I want to detail cars with less chemicals, not from a price saving standpoint, but from just an efficiency standpoint and then a risk management standpoint. Sometimes with heavy duty APCs, you can stain plastics, it can do silly things. You have the nav screens, you have a lot more technology. And so introducing too much water or too much chemical into the interior of a car, or if you're in, wetter climates or wintertime, introducing too much chemical, too much water can really be a bad thing. And that's why neither one of these tools are carpet extractors. And I've had my fair share of carpet extractors over the years too, everything from cold water extractors to hot water extractors. And though there's definitely a place for them, I think the two tools that I'm talking about today, if you had to choose, would definitely be number one and number two across all interior tools. And so when we talk about profitability too, with running a detailing business, or just if you're a DIYer and just kind of trying to be efficient with your time when you're cleaning your cars and doing it as quickly as possible, the steamer and then the Tornador or an air tool or compressed air in general are going to be the two tools that you really need to have. And so, but steam by far, when you're just talking about nooks and crannies and stuck stuff on carpets and just nasty stuff and different attachments, is what I love the VX 5000 for. But everything from, and I know it could be controversial, but everything from steaming leather seats to getting into the cracks of the leather, to cup holders, to center consoles, to the rubber moldings around the door, the crack in there. Steam is really a powerful, powerful tool, and you don't have to put down a lot of water because you're utilizing heat. And so steam and a steamer is by far just a must-have tool for interior detailing, and has completely transformed the way my interior details look. I don't use it all that often on exterior because it could be really inefficient on the exterior of a car, and I don't really even know where you would do it. But, especially with this dry ice craze that tried to come around, steam is just so much more efficient and effective, and I really, really enjoy using steam. So if you haven't incorporated a steamer into your detailing process, I would highly suggest it. The VX 5000 is the one that I recommend, but obviously do your due diligence, do your research, and figure out which one fits the best for your budget and your business. But I have had mine, like I said, for 10 plus years, and it's never failed me. It still works pretty much like it did on day one. It doesn't look like it would work, but it's kind of like a Honda generator, just keeps on going, fires up every time. It does take a little bit of time to warm up. That is the one downside to it, and I think there's other steamers that warm up much faster. That would be one of the downsides to it, but honestly, if you plan accordingly into your details, it's really no big deal. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to warm up. And so the next tool that is a complete game changer that I will embarrassingly admit that I'm way late to the game on is these Tornadors, or these air tools. Back in the day, I just didn't start with compressed air. I didn't have it. I didn't use it. And so I really learned all my methods and all my detailing without it. And then with the advent of all these new air tools, not just, compressed air, but the tools that you could hook up to the compressed air. And I started venturing into these Tornador style guns or these air guns. And I'm relatively new to it, admittedly, and trying to teach an old dog new tricks. And the one downside is you do need to have a compressor, which is, until I was shop based, I never ran around with a compressor. Now, you may be saying, oh my gosh, you're not a professional detailer. If you didn't have compressed air, you're crazy. How did you blah, 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 blah. I didn't have room in the truck. I didn't have room. Didn't have room. Didn't want to make room. Didn't see the need. Most importantly, didn't see the need. But now these different air tools are coming out, and based on, all the things I love about steam, and I started looking at these air tools, and I'm like, well, what's interesting is the steamer does take a little bit of time to warm up. It can create some moisture in there, and steam doesn't work great for like these low pile carpets. And that's really where I see these air tools being just a total game changer with these low pile carpets, these low pile mats, and just you can quickly, and I've talked about this before, detailing a lot of times, especially when it comes to interior detailing, is your best method is to take it in layers. And so you're getting that top layer, then the bottom layer, or the middle layer, then the bottom layer. And then you're kind of doing it layer by layer instead of trying to go from layer 1 to layer 0 or layer 10 in a hurry. You really take it layer by layer. And what I see these different air tools doing is really helping to get through that top layer quickly. Right. So sometimes you do like a bulk just blowout. Right. And so that's where compressed air was good. You can blow out the majority of crap. Right. But where I'm seeing the air tools really come in is you actually get to shortcut a few layers. Right. And shortcut a few things, cut down on your vacuuming time, cut down on, the finer detailing or the time it's going to take to do those finer details. But that's what I mean when I talk about doing it in layers, is that you'll get the bulk. If you're doing with a nasty car, really any car, you want to get the bulk of the crap out. Now, traditionally, you would do that by vacuuming and using a brush. But what I have found myself doing more often is that I have like an air tool and a towel. Maybe the towel is even a little damp. Maybe it has a little cleaner on it. But you can get like 90% of the way there on a decently dirty car with just that thing. And all you're using is air and like a damp towel or a little saturated towel, right? Maybe a little brush for the sensitive detailed areas and then Tornador it out of there. But price was another thing. I think the Tornadors used to be up around $100 or a couple $100, but there's been a lot of knockoffs. There's been a lot of other tools that have brought that way down in price to make it relatively affordable. And also, you will need a decently sized generator. I don't think the pancake compressors, not generators, the pancake compressors will handle a sustained kind of air or handle enough air. I feel like I'm tripping over my words a little bit. So you will need probably a 20-gallon compressor, probably to have that kind of sustained enough air, right? So just factor that in. And again, this is why I didn't really get into the Tornadors or stuff like that until more recently, because I just didn't have room in my rig for that. And then, if you are mobile, you need to consider that you need to have enough power to run a generator of that size. So not only do you need to have the room, but then you need to have a big enough generator, and that you're probably not going to be able to run multiple things at once if you have multiple people, unless you have a really sizable generator. And so, all those things I didn't really want to consider. I didn't think it was worth it. But when you consider even now, the brand Tornador has a bunch of different attachments that you can add to the gun. And so it really does make it very fast and very efficient and really, to be honest, easy. And they have attachments that have little brushes on the tip of it, and you can hook almost like a foam cannon up to it too and clean and, clean it all at once, right? So if you look on Amazon, there's a million options now of, pressure guns, I guess you would call them, or blowout tools might be a better one. But everything from like $30 to a couple $100 and everywhere in between. But those are really two tools that I see to be absolute necessities. Obviously, if you're at a shop, it's going to be a lot easier to have a bigger compressor. You're going to have access to more power, obviously, than you would by mobilely. But especially, I remember back, I had the police cars. And so police cars, instead of trying to vacuum them out, because you're on a tight budget for those, if you could just blow them out, it's a lot quicker, a lot more efficient, and you're going to get a lot better of a result. And so, yeah, between the Steam and the Tornador, those are two absolute tools that have been complete game changers to me. I'll try to link the ones that I personally use below. I don't think the VX5000 is on Amazon right now, but I will try to link it to another place to buy it, and then I'll link up the Aragon that I use right now as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll catch you on the next one.